Good afternoon. My name is Jenna Tews. I am the Ludington Biological Station Supervisor with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Sea Lamprey Control Program based out of Ludington, Michigan. Today, I am providing the Sea Lamprey Control Program report for Lake Michigan for 2021. In this report, I'll be providing an overview of the status of invasive sea lamprey in the lake, highlights from our 2021 field season, and a look ahead at planned work for the 2022 field season. The invasive sea lamprey is a parasitic fish native to the Atlantic Ocean. Sea lamprey were first documented in Lake Michigan in 1936. This highly prolific species is anadromous, with adults spawning in streams and rivers during the spring. Their harmless larval offspring burrow in the sediment and grow for 3 to 10 years. When larvae reach 125 to 150 millimeters, or about 5 to 6 inches, they begin to metamorphose into a parasitic stage, at which point they outmigrate from their natal stream and begin feeding in Lake Michigan, where they prefer a deeper, colder water environment in their search for host fish to feed upon. After feeding in Lake Michigan for 12 to 18 months, during which time a single sea lamprey can destroy up to 40 pounds of Great Lakes fish, sexually mature sea lamprey find suitable streams in the basin for spawning in during the spring, and the life cycle continues. Adult lampreys die shortly after spawning. In 1954, the Convention of Great Lakes Fisheries was established. This treaty between Canada and the United States created the Great Lakes Fishery Commission to control sea lampreys and advance science. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and Department of Fisheries and Oceans Canada serve as agents to deliver sea lamprey control operations throughout the Great Lakes. Due to the devastating impacts of sea lamprey on many of the fish species in the basin, and understanding that sea lamprey predation is a limiting factor in restoration of native species such as lake trout, the Lake Michigan Committee established the following objective for sea lamprey control in Lake Michigan: to suppress the sea lamprey to allow the achievement of other fish community objectives. The Sea Lamprey Control Program has two primary metrics to measure success. The first is the use of an index to track the adult sea lamprey population in Lake Michigan. This graph shows the index estimates for adult sea lamprey in Lake Michigan, represented by the blue data points, with 95% confidence intervals shown as vertical bars. The 3-year moving average for the adult index is represented by the solid blue line. Not displayed on the figure is the pre-control abundance of sea lampreys, which was estimated to be 600,000. The target level for sea lamprey in Lake Michigan is 35,000, represented by the horizontal line, and was estimated as the mean of indices during a period with acceptable marking rates. The adult index in 2021 was 16,000. The 2-year average adult index estimate is 16,176, meeting the target and has been holding steady over the past 6 years. The second primary metric used to measure success of the Sea Lamprey Control Program is lake trout wounding rates. This figure shows the lake trout marking rate per 100 lake trout from standardized assessments conducted from August to November. The marking rate, displayed as the green data points, is plotted against sea lamprey spawning year, and the graph includes the 3-year moving average, shown as the solid green line. The target level for lake trout wounding in Lake Michigan is 5 marks per 100 fish. The 3-year average marking rate of 3.0 continues to meet the target, and the marking rate continues to hold steady over the past 5 years. The Sea Lamprey Control Program conducts a wide variety of activities, including, but not limited to, trapping adult lamprey, larval assessment and stream treatments, and projects to deny lamprey access to spawning and rearing habitats. These next few slides provide some highlights from our different program areas from 2021. Sea lamprey control agents deploy traps in a subset of streams in Lake Michigan. These traps catch adult lampreys as they migrate up streams and rivers to spawn in the spring. During 2021, 6,964 adult sea lampreys were captured in all 6 index streams. Mark recapture estimates were generated for 5 of the 6 index streams. Due to insufficient recaptures of marked sea lamprey, the St. Joseph River estimate was model generated. While in their larval stage in streams and rivers, sea lamprey can be controlled using selective pesticides called lampricides. Lampricide treatments were completed in 23 tributaries and in 1 lentic area within Lake Michigan during 2021. The program welcomed the addition of a state-of-the-art custom-built granular balicide spray boat. In 2021, the Upper Lakes targeted treatment strategy included a combination of Lake Huron and Lake Michigan streams in order to complete a portion of the Lake Michigan streams that were not treated in the previous year. Looking ahead at the 2022 field season, this map shows the stream name and locations of the 11 lampricide treatments and 1 lentic area planned for Lake Michigan. Some of the more complex treatments include the Muskegon and Manistee rivers. Due to the size and complexity of the Manistee and Muskegon River treatments, control agents are preparing for a binational treatment effort in 2022. The Manistee River involves a monumental coordination effort to deliver an effective lampricide treatment encompassing 335 stream miles and the lentic area. The Muskegon River lampricide treatment relies heavily on communication among partnerships with Consumers Energy Hydroelectric Croton Dam Facility, the Michigan DNR, and the Little River Band of Ottawa Indians to effectively treat roughly 117 stream miles. Larval surveys are conducted in streams throughout the basin, primarily using bagpack electrofishers. These surveys identify larval sea lamprey infestations and guide and evaluate treatments. During 2021, larval assessments were conducted on 130 streams and 11 lentic areas in Lake Michigan. No new infestations of sea lamprey were discovered in 2021. Post-treatment assessments were conducted in 22 streams and 2 lentic areas to determine the effectiveness of lampricide treatments that were conducted during 2020 and 2021. In addition to guiding and evaluating lampricide treatment effectiveness, larval assessment surveys identify newly infested tributaries and supply larvae for Great Lakes Fishery Commission research efforts. From April to October this year, a full complement of larval assessment surveys are planned. Our teams from the Ludington and Marquette biological stations look to survey 159 streams and 23 lentic areas throughout the Lake Michigan Basin. The Alternative Control and Evaluation Unit, or ACE, works on a wide range of sea lamprey control issues, including barrier projects and consultations throughout Lake Michigan. Current and ongoing projects include the Little Manistee River Weir, where the Fish and Wildlife Service continues to work with the Michigan DNR to improve blocking capability at the weir, aiming to award a construction contract in 2022, with construction slated for 2023. Work continues on the Grand River and the proposed removal of the 6th Street Dam to provide more varied use of the downtown Rapids area. The current plan calls for removal of the existing structure and the creation of an artificial rapids complex that can be used by kayakers and anglers. The Army Corps of Engineers has drafted an environmental impact statement that includes 14 design alternatives. A completed draft will be available for public review 1 year after the downstream reach issues are resolved. The Fish and Wildlife Service continues to work with the Village of Baldwin, the Michigan DNR, and the Conservation Resource Alliance on identifying options to replace the failing Baldwin Hatchery Dam. Additional barrier projects include the Manistee River, where the final design of the sea lamprey barrier is being completed and permitting will take place after final review of the project. The timeline for construction has fallen back due to real estate acquisition processes through the Army Corps of Engineers, with an estimated goal to award a construction contract in 2025. Sea lamprey production potential surveys were completed throughout Swan Creek, Baldwin River, and the Root River to assess impacts of removing the Swan Creek, Horlick, and Baldwin Hatchery dams to increase fish passage. Risk management addresses environmental and non-target issues related to the implementation of the Sea Lamprey Control Program in the United States and Canada. This involves coordination with many federal, provincial, state, and tribal agencies, and working with others to minimize risk to non-target organisms. In 2021, the risk management team assisted staff from Ludington's Larval Assessment Unit and the Ecological Services East Lansing Field Office to delineate freshwater mussel and larval sea lamprey habitat in the Grand River. This work identified potential areas that may be considered for surveys using granular balicide, and strategies to avoid and minimize risk to federal and state-listed freshwater mussels to the maximum extent practical. In 2022, the risk management team will participate in the partner-led Save Our Sturgeon effort in conjunction with staff from Fish and Wildlife Service Green Bay, Michigan DNR, and Little River Band of Ottawa Indians to collect young-of-the-year lake sturgeon before, during, and after the treatment of the Muskegon River. Live fish will be removed from the river and held in lampricide-free Muskegon River water. All fish will be weighed, measured for length, fin clipped for genetics, pit tagged, and returned to capture sites in the river following the treatment. The control program has been working on a new project in the ongoing battle against sea lamprey. Supplemental controls are tactics that supplement the two primary methods of sea lamprey control, lampricides and sea lamprey barriers, by reducing reproduction or capturing transformed sea lamprey. Bills Creek, a tributary to the Whitefish River, and Furlong Creek, a tributary to the Millicokins River, are two of the 13 proposed experimental streams for applying supplemental controls because they likely produce transformed sea lamprey despite treatment efforts. To adequately describe the baseline condition of these streams before application of supplemental controls, crews are surveying all life stages of sea lamprey and habitat. Larval sea lamprey captured from Bills and Furlong Creek treatments are being processed at Michigan State University for pedigree analysis to help inform estimates of treatment effectiveness and identify where lamprey may be surviving treatment. Stakeholders and researchers will be engaged during 2022 to determine which supplemental controls are suitable for Bills and Furlong Creeks, with 2024 as a target date for supplemental control deployment. This concludes the Sea Lamprey Control Report for Lake Michigan for 2021. For more information on sea lamprey control activities in Lake Michigan and throughout the Great Lakes, please visit the Great Lakes Fishery Commission website listed on the screen.